So making 1K in a day. Now, the reason I'm making a video like this is almost more for myself than it is for you guys. But I think what I can provide is a shift in paradigm for a lot of you, the same way it was for me. Just a preface, as you know, with going on these videos, I'm not really keeping a script with anything. I'm just kind of being raw and speaking from my experience and kind of having this as a sit-down talk between me and myself, if you'd say. The reason I even wanted to make a video like this, and I'm not even sure how long this is going to be, but I kind of just wanted to talk about my perception with money and how that's changed in just the last few weeks. You see, I wasn't able to do the things that I'm currently doing right now. And maybe a part of me didn't even believe that it was possible at one point, but I always had a feeling ever since I was really, really young. I always kind of knew that I was capable of doing really great things. Obviously, I didn't know how, and as you start carrying forward with your life, that feeling gets a bit jaded, and you start having doubts settle in, and you kind of get into this concept of not believing in yourself, almost wondering if things are still possible. You see, when I was younger, I used to see videos about this all the time, of entrepreneurs online talking about how they made 1, 2, 5, 10K in a day, 30K, 100K sometimes in the span of 1 or 2 or a few days. And it would be the most crazy thing to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not anywhere close to those kind of numbers yet. I have, of course, and the reason I'm making this video and it's titled Making 1K a Day is because I have hit that and I know what it feels like now. So I do have the validity to talk about it. But even when it just happened, and keep in mind, this happened really, really recently. Like the first time this ever happened to me was literally only 2 weeks ago. And if you don't believe me, this is a recording of me hitting 1K a day and kind of just my reaction. This is all USD, by the way. I live in Canada, so it's kind of nice that I make even more in the process. But even just the fact of me hitting that was kind of surreal. You see, to understand how it would make someone like me feel, you'd have to understand where I came from. And keep in mind, when I was young, like when I started at a really young age, I was always looking at ways to make money online, but I never really had success. And in the very beginning, I had to work jobs that I fucking hated. So I literally remember when I think it was when I was 14 years old. It was when I was in the 9th grade. I got a job for the first time at London Drugs. And at the time, I think I was making like $14 an hour, something like that. Whatever the minimum wage was at the time. But just looking back at that experience is so fucking crazy to me, to just think like I had to go and sit at this place that I absolutely hated and talk to people that I didn't know or didn't really give a shit about random fucking electronics. I worked in the photo electronics section, but just basically having to do things that you have no intention of wanting to do just for that measly $14 every hour. Like, it was crazy to think about just a few weeks ago when I looked at that number on a screen, and all it is it's just some number on a screen. Like, you see 1,000 and you know that you've made that in a day, but at one point you were literally going into some building, putting on a uniform, acting a certain way, selling certain things that you didn't care about just to make a measly $14 an hour. And obviously this didn't stop. Like, that wasn't the only job I worked. I've worked a bunch of jobs, from London Drugs to fucking Foot Locker and retail stores, and even online jobs where I would make hourly wages, although those were much better. But it still goes back to the fact that a lot of people have this perception in their head that the current way that they're doing things is the only way, and it's super easy to get indoctrinated and trapped in that paradigm. Of course, with the way things are now and with the rise of the internet, many people are kind of opening up their eyes to the fact that you can make money online and you can do things to make money rather than trading your time for it. Of course, it's always going to be business, and business is really the only way for most people to figure it out. And I should say most people like myself. Of course, there's always going to be people that are satisfied with working a wage. Like, I'm not really one of those people that just thinks every single person should strive to be an entrepreneur. Of course, I know, like, there's people that just want to be doctors and want to be fucking police officers and things like that, and they could be more than happy with that. But this paradigm that a lot of people have of money and the relationship they revolve themselves around it, thinking that there's only one thing I could do to make money, and that's go do this job or go do this thing, or at the end of the day, trade my time for money. Like, 90% of people you know, or anyone knows, unless you're lucky that your family's rich in business or unless you're lucky that you have a couple friends that are entrepreneurs. 90% of people just know that the way to make money is to go get a job or go to school and go get a job. And don't even get me fucking started on school, because I was one of those people. Like, I was that typical kid. Well, it's a funny story actually. Like, I still remember when I was in the 3rd grade, I had this teacher that I absolutely fucking hated. And she explained for me, for the first time in my life ever, basically the future of what my life and what 90% of people's lives end up being. It was this roadmap. It was this depressing, dark tunnel of sadness that led to you finishing elementary school, and then you go to high school, and then you go to post-secondary, and then you go get a job out of the 100 options that they give you, because obviously you have limited freedom when someone else is picking a career for you, right? If you're not in business and you're not creating an income for yourself, you have to play by their rules, and you have to do one of the things that's in their sheet of paper of occupations that you can do. Otherwise, you're fucked. And I would just tune out of the conversation as soon as it got to the point of post-secondary. Like, I just remember thinking as a kid, like, I hated elementary school. Like, I was just one of those kids. Of course, I know a lot of people love school, and a lot of entrepreneurs. Like, I'm not necessarily saying school is bad, even though I think it's pretty fucking stupid, but I hated school right from elementary. And then to think I was going to have to go to another building called high school and do that for another 5 years. And then on top of that, personally me, go sign up and possibly pay if I don't get if I don't get a scholarship, possibly pay to go for another 4 to 5 years, depending on what I'm doing. It could be another 8, and then go get a job that I don't really like. Just for what? Just for someone's idea of this is how to make money? The entire thing was fucking ridiculous to me. And it still is ridiculous to me now. Like, I would 10 times rather be making $20,000 a year or $30,000 a year from something that's an online business, rather than going and doing a job or working for someone else where I absolutely just hate my life. And in my opinion, that's really the only way to live, at least for me. So it's just crazy to think about. Like, it's really easy to think, especially when your entire ecosystem and everything and everyone around you is telling you that there is only one thing. And because no one really knows, like, no one teaches you how to go make money from something else in school, and no one preaches that, and the entire system and everyone around you and your family and friends are all telling you that this is the way, this is the way. And obviously, when you don't follow that way, and especially when you don't have success, it can look a little bad. Like, you could just be that one screw up that's like, okay, he doesn't want to go to school, he's just sitting on his ass being lazy. But of course, like everything in life, as soon as you do it, then they ask how. And I guess I'm just making this to kind of like capture my new ideology. Well, I mean, I guess it's not new because I always thought like this, but to just basically highlight the ignorance in most people's lives when it comes to making money. Like, there's infinite things you can do in this world, in this modern world. Like, here's the thing, I have to preface this. Right now, you're quite literally living in the most lucky time to be rich. And what I mean by that is, you have the most likely possibility of being rich now more than ever in life. Ever. Like, right? Like, if this was 50 years ago, quite literally you might have to go to school, and like the internet wasn't as developed, and maybe it didn't even exist to the extent that it does now, you would be fucked. Especially someone like me. Like, I'd be fucked. But now that we're in the ecosystem and the life in the world that we are now, where everything is consumed by the internet, there is no excuse for you not to be rich. It is quite literally the easiest thing. And obviously this is going to sound kind of contradicting, because I myself am not rich, but I'm gonna be, and that's the reason I'm making this video, because I have complete and utter confidence. And you're gonna see, whoever watches this video now is obviously not gonna understand. It would actually be pretty funny if someone who knows me watches this now and just says like, oh, that's a lot of confidence. But most people that are watching this are gonna watch it from the success. That's just how that's just how life works. People come at the top, not the bottom. But it's just crazy how you can have such limiting beliefs. And you know, before I used to really not understand why a lot of these mindset gurus and a lot of these kind of mentors wouldn't really give you practical advice. A lot of it was about mindset. Like, if you look at guys like Tony Robbins, even kind of like Jordan Belfort, but he teaches more hands-on selling. But even guys like Grant Cardone, like at their seminars, they're not exactly teaching you, okay, do X, Y, and Z to go and make money. It's generally more about mindset and how to strengthen your mind. And I used to not understand that at first, but now I do. And it's all a philosophy about everything you want on the other side of life is through a barrier of fear and disbelief in yourself. Of course, starting something from scratch is not easy, and it never will be. Starting any income or any new thing for that matter, if you start a new sport, if you start a new hobby, if you go start doing jujitsu, if you go start boxing, if you go start music, anything is going to be hard in the beginning, but that's not the point. The point is that it's possible, and you should believe in that. Or more often, believe in yourself. I think it's a huge problem with the way society is today. We're kind of taught to not believe in yourself, and at the end of the day, it's kind of understandable. Well, no, it's not. At the end of the day, it's just the way life is, and it really does, in today's age, take a lot of confidence to go on your own and do something. But there's just endless success at the other side of that fence of fear. And it's not always going to be quick. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be a fun, sexy path. It's going to be miserable, and you're going to hate it, and you're going to get judged. And like, this is a big thing that Gary Vee talks about a lot, where it's like, where he talks about judgment and how he was 30 years old and the other kids already have 401ks and they're driving in Beamers and they have secure jobs and they're so happy. And he's just working at his dad's liquor store. But if you're able to get past that element of social rejection, I guess you could say, all you can do is win. Because at the end of the day, none of that shit is real. All that's real is you and your life and where you want to be. No one can really affect or do anything in your life other than yourself. Like, no one's judgments is going to destroy your life unless you let it. And it all ties down to business, because if you wanted to have a successful business and you wanted to do something that was super outside of the norm and something that no one in your family has ever done and no one in your social circle has ever done, and none of your friends know how to do it, and you're kind of this lone wolf that wants to venture off into this path because you see all these other people do it. At the end of the day, it's going to be a solo journey. It's something that ties all into mindset and strengthening your mind. And even the place I'm at right now, I still don't really have 100% grasp on it. And of course, you're always striving to be better and fix your mind and strengthen it and sharpen your mindset. And we should always be looking for ways to do that. But it's very, very easy to be biased to the situation you're in. Like, I just learned this from Charlie Morgan. He talks a lot about being biased to your situation, being biased to your values and your negative. And it's very easy to be biased towards one paradigm of how you can do things when there's infinite possibilities on how to do things in reality. Like, it all just ties down to that point. Like, one day, just use me as an example, I was genuinely working for $14 an hour, and now I'm at a point where I can press buttons on a computer, figure out a system. Obviously, it's not that easy, and I'm oversimplifying the fuck out of it. There's a lot of work that has to go in, and there's a lot of learning and of course mindset, and you have to challenge yourself, and it's not going to be easy. But at the end of the day, you're sitting on a computer or a laptop and you're using this thing called the internet to print numbers on a screen. And now, instead of going to somewhere that you don't like and hate, and you kind of hate your life and you hate yourself and you're not happy, now you're making money online and you're doing something that you love, and you're independent and you're strong and you're confident in yourself and you believe anything is possible, because if you just did this, then what can't you do? I guess the entire point of this video is basically a whole spiel on belief and how important it is to believe in yourself. And I truly think that I want to be a proponent of what that entails. So if you're watching this and you're not where you want to be, go do whatever it is that you feel like you want to do. And I mean whatever the fuck. If you want to be the greatest musician, if you want to be the greatest YouTuber, if you want to be the greatest athlete, if you want to be the greatest, if you want to just make a shit ton of fucking money, never have to work a regular day in your life, go do it. There's literally nothing stopping you in this life, and right now is the easiest time to fucking do it than ever before. And sooner or later, you could be making a video just like this, talking about how you made $1,000 in a day, or you made $10,000 in a day, or you made $100,000 in a day, because it's possible. And it's possible for me, and you're gonna see it on this channel. Like, one day, and this will actually be pretty funny when this video comes out, but one day I'm gonna have a video titled saying, I just made $100,000 in one day. So yeah, I think that's where I kind of want to wrap this video up. Whatever it is that you want to do, do it. Remember, anything is possible on the other side of judgment and fear. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. Don't be afraid. Just know that you can do anything. And if you really put your mind to something, the sky is the limit. All right, enough yet.